Read it for me! Cops of Reddit. What's the funniest change in already perfectly legal behavior do people in front of you do when they realize you're not there? Or when you realize they are there? The biggest change I see is people go out of their way to make or break eye contact. Some almost innocent people stare, watching everything we do. At the same time, the guiltiest person doesn't want to be seen at all. My buddy is in the military. When they do patrols, they are trained to spot people intentionally not looking at them because it's more suspicious. People usually look at the military/police because they are interested. When I used to carry a drug supply around, I would always nod at cops like you were at a coworker in the hallway. It felt less suspicious and I never had an issue. For what it's worth, I subconscious always avoid eye contact, even when I've done absolutely nothing. Yup, I was realizing I was avoiding eye contact buying beer at a convenience store the other day. I was so self-conscious I just couldn't act normal. I've been able to buy alcohol for 11 years and I still feel like I'm going to get caught. I like when people going the speed limit are scared to pass a cop. Cop pulled me over doing this, gave me the gears, and constantly said he pulled me over weeks ago. He didn't and confused me with someone else. It was freaking weird because he was so insistent and I didn't know what to say other than, honestly, man, the last time I got pulled over was about a decade ago for speeding ticket as far as I can recall. Definitely wasn't the past few weeks. He ran my stuff and let me go, but the dude was going like 45 in a 60 zone, so yeah, I'm gonna pass when it's safe. Had a cop pull me over for expired registration the day I got back from Japan. He kept insisting that he pulled me over earlier that month. Like, dude, my car has a ridiculous amount of weird ass bumper stickers. I've been in other countries, so I have an ironclad rule never to pass cops because you never freaking know. You just never freaking know. However, I did it once. Once! That time I did it, boom, got pulled over. One of my brake lights went out and I didn't know about it. Maybe I wouldn't have noticed it, maybe I would have, but got pulled over and had to spend half an hour sitting on the side of the road and I had an important meeting to get to. So my ironclad rule is never to pass cops. That event only served to reinforce my view. Never pass a cop. There's a huge potential downside to it, not much of an upside. I passed a cop once. Mother did that to me once. I will never pass a cop. I had a police officer on my left side in the passing lane and I accidentally set my cruise control to 71 on a 70-mile highway. My front bumper wasn't even ahead of the cruiser when the cop broke hard, switched their lights on to pull me over. I never forget what he told me. Do you know how fast you're going? 71. What color is the sign? Black and white. There's no gray area. The sign says 70 miles an hour, meaning up to 70. You can go 45, 55, 69 and a half, but 70 is the max. You're very well within getting a speeding ticket. Do you think you're above the law or something? Do you think you deserve a ticket? Honestly, no. Never ever tell a cop what you did wrong. Do you know how fast you're going? No, officer. If they pull you over and ask what you did wrong, you should always answer with no. You could end up self-incriminating. They may be prepared to tell you they caught you for speeding, but if you weren't wearing a seatbelt or anything, boom, there's another charge you weren't originally going to get. Always let the cop do the talking, or you could end up in deeper trouble. Where I live, some cops on the highway will drive in the left lane going 500, and if anyone tries passing them on the right at the speed limit, they'll turn their lights on, or they back away, therefore creating one slow highway. Keep up the good work. Had this happen with a state trooper on I-75 in southern Michigan. I was going the speed limit, which is 70, and I passed a cop who was going about 65 in the left lane. As soon as I passed him, he pulled me over and wrote me a ticket for passing on the right. He was also a D-bag. I know quite a few cops, and this guy was way worse than normal. I drove 1.5 miles, 1.5 hours to court to fight it. And I'm armed with my law stating that vehicles who are not overtaking a vehicle must be in the far right lane. Since the cop was not overtaking, he was actually in the wrong. And I explained to the judge that if the officer was following the law, this would have never happened. The cop actually had the balls to change the charge while I was in front of the judge. No idea that they could do that, to impeding traffic, and let the judge set a date a month out for this case. I was freaking livid. On the way home, I called the state trooper outpost. Got the guy in charge, and he was the most genuine good guy I have ever talked with. He calmed me down and got rid of the ticket and apologized for my troubles. I was so pissed at that officer after I got the ticket, I still filed a Freedom of Information Act to request the body cam when he stopped me because I was going to go to the public to ruin him. They responded with an email that they had the footage and it would be $45. I never pursued it. Whoa. So you're telling me you're not going to bury someone for $45? Like, yo, like, come on. Didn't realize you could get a FOIA body cam footage. That's really good to know. You can get an FOIA almost anything. The only reason it's really a law in the first place is because you can put enough FOIA information together and get stuff that's supposed to be classified. Well, that sounds more like 45 DOM of information, but still not bad, I guess. I did in Ohio after my car got totaled by a guy running a red light. Paid $1 for a DVD of the other drive telling me to respond to the officer, "It's my fault," as soon as he got out of the cruiser. That was my ace in the hole if his insurance fought over it. I was on a ride-along with a cop once. We were driving down the main road and he said, "Check this out." He chopped his speed down to 5 or 10 miles below the speed limit. All the cars around us immediately slowed down to his speed. He laughed and sped up and slowed down a couple more times. It was kind of a messed up thing because I never worry about passing a cop or anything as long as I'm not going over the speed limit. The police around here usually drive in the far left lane going the speed limit, which causes a 5-lane wide impassable wall of traffic. But if I do get the opportunity to pass, even above the limit, I will. Haven't had an issue yet. I did a stare down with a cop one time because of this. A little before the reduced speed limit sign, I slowed down. For some reason, he did it a mile early. Was going the speed limit? F off, cop. Don't try to intimidate me for doing the speed limit. I used to be a cop. Guy had very young kids shooting Roman candles out of their hands late at night, like 2 a.m. near the 4th of July. I pull up and tell him not to let his kids hold fireworks, and that it was way too late to do this. Blah blah. If I saw this again, I give him a ticket for the ordinance violation and endangerment. Blah blah blah. I drive away a few minutes later and I see lights in the sky again. I return to his house. When he sees me coming around the corner, he tells the kids to run back in the house. So they do, still carrying their lit Roman candles. I watch the colors blaze in the living room windows for a minute, knock on the door, and ask if anyone's hurt. He says no. I tell him that's why kids aren't responsible enough for fireworks, and that he's a dumbass to ask if he understands where I'm coming from now. He agrees. I left, and he had no further problems with that night. I encountered him a year or two later on a suspicious vehicle call. Car sitting in a neighborhood late at night. I approached the car, recognized him, and then realized that its leg was a bloody mess. Further investigation revealed that he had been shot by his roommate's husband, who discovered them in bed together. He was too dumb or scared to go to the hospital, so he just sat there in his own car with a bullet in his leg. You need to get that man's phone number and just, like, periodically check up on him to make sure he isn't dead, because holy heck. I've been a cop for 25 years, and I think the weirdest behavior change I saw was when I got a call about indecent exposure in a public restaurant. We all knew that what restaurant it was, and I was surprised to get a call about it. It was our town's worst kept secret, but because of the influence that was the owners of that franchise had, everyone was too scared to report it to the police. However, I later found that it was a family member who snitched on the business because of an argument with her husband, the son of the patriarch. I drove up to the Benihana and saw no cars in the parking lot and nobody eating the food. This is not a surprise because, like I mentioned, the restaurant was a front for their glory hole business. I walked into the bathroom and saw a line of dudes facing towards the bathroom stall wall. One man in the front of the line was nearly touching the stall wall. I told him that I was a police officer and they need to step away from the stall wall. The man in the front of the line said, "Why, I'm just urinating," and I opened the stall door just to see that he was urinating through a hole in the stall and into the toilet. Apparently, the man sucking behind the wall had slid underneath the stall divider and was on the other stall shitting. Because everyone was either using the bathroom for its intended purpose or waiting to use the bathroom, I couldn't do anything about it. It was like a speakeasy, but for glory holes. That Benihana is still around today, and the glory hole business is booming. Like I mentioned, the restaurant was a front for their glory hole business. No, you didn't, but I liked the surprise. I knew it while I was reading the story, but he never said it. Very weird. I was thinking of a rogue strip club until then. Same here, or the backroom prostitution ring that didn't rise to the level of harm to the community. When he mentioned Benihana, it clicked. Well then, why did my mind go to the glory hole? WTF, anyone else? 'Cause we nasty!